scopes or opportunities exist in that field for the researchers to look at. And that perspective, that proposition should be from the angle of a development professional. So, and I feel that could be a topic for the professor like Dr. Aziz, Dr. Kamal, and also Mrinmoy kind of students to look at what does it mean to you all when I propose that as a questions for you to look at and consider for your PhD. Okay, so if we try to look at the situation or performance of South Asian country till today in terms of SDG, and what does it give us? It says, if we take these countries, the 5 Asian, South Asian countries, it says nobody actually has scored more than 67% within South Asia in terms of SDG. However, the quality of the work based on which the score has been gained is also a question for ourselves to reflect on. But if you look at, if we say, I mean, today we have representative from Bangladesh and India and also Nepal. If you look at both the countries are standing a scoring situation of 60, which means irrespective of the quality of the data, quality of the work, and its likelihood of sustainability, we have to go far more than what we are today. And if you look at the rank, the world rank in terms of SDG, so I mean, we are far, far behind in the list. So 84 is the list where the Bhutan standing in case of India, Nepal, Bangladesh is more than 100. And I mean, so we are actually behind 100 countries. So that gives us a kind of warning that what is the kind of effort we need to put in place to work for SDG, and what is the kind of collective effort that we need to bring into this sector to realize the SDG. So now, what does it mean, that ranking, and also for us to be little behind in the list? It means that 36% of the world's poor, those who are mainly having less than $1 income per day, they live in South Asia, which is a concern for all of us. And it itself says that out of the total children suffering from malnourishment in the world, 50% live in South Asia. And again, if you look at within that 50%, it is largely in 3-4 countries, which is Bangladesh, India, Nepal, Pakistan. That's again a point for us to be worried about. But the other thing it says with the scope is that it says that if a very good partnership model, if a very good comprehensive strategy is put in place for industrializations or all the work being done, then it has a potential of lifting 71 million people out of the poverty. And I think that is what a kind of triggering factor for all of us to capitalize and move forward. Now, if you look at all the countries of South Asia, so, and look at all the 17 goals, where do all the countries stand today? And also as a whole, where the South Asia stands today in terms of our progress in SDG. One of the picture very clearly giving us in a first place is that most of the cases we are poor performing, but improving. Now, improving could be meant in many different ways. It could be meant progressing very slow, improving very slow, improving in some part, improving comprehensively. So that I'm not going into that debate, but overall picture, if you can see from this table, it says we are standing in a situation of a poor condition or poor progress. In some cases, if you look at what Professor Jayanta Chaudhary was mentioning, the data. So now, if we today do not have data, and we are standing just 10 years behind the commitment to be achieved, which is 2030 agenda, then uh, how long we'll have to go to put that system of data flowing into place, analysis, and also then maintain a process of continuous reporting on the progress and challenges. If you, in case of the investment, the financial gap, if you look at, so now this has gone in terms of absolute progress in for health, poverty, and many other goals. Now, when you say achieving the 2030 agenda or realizing SDG in South Asia, what does it mean in terms of the requirement of finances, funding, and what is the gap? It says, looking at the current investment in South Asia being made by corporate, government, NGOs, and many other, it is a gap of $1.5 trillion per year. Imagine, it's a $1.5 trillion per year funding gap we have at the moment to make a significant progress in SDG. And within which, if you look at some specific goals, which is actually very pertinent and very crucial for survival and development of the people, is the investment that we require for people's survival is about 370 plus $290 billion. If you look at the development, can you hear me?
Yep.
So in terms of the development issues like gender, justice, and education, it's about $200 billion per year gap. And for environment, again, we as an organization is very concerned for all these three pillars: people, prosperity, and planet. So if you look at, it's more than $500 billion per year gap. So now this gives you a picture of where we are standing and what we need to secure in terms of funding for realizing the SDG. We just go into, I'll not go every slides here now, but I'll just give you a brief, because Bangladesh and India has done quite a bit of progress in terms of SDG, is because Bangladesh and India has actually completed the baseline of SDG, which gives us a picture as an individual country to strategize further. Now, in Bangladesh, it says, it says around 25% of the country's people living within an income less than $1.9 per day. And it's below 40% people are actually covered under social safety net programs. And as a whole, it's about 26 million people, mostly children and women, are malnourished, which is one of the cause of death before the life expectancy year. And it also says Bangladesh having around 36% of the children are stunted. Now, in case of gender justice, it says, yes, I mean, I'm not going into all this detail, I'll skip here. So in case of India, it's again around 300 million people living in poverty, and which means 10 people in every 1,000, 10 household in every 1,000 house, 10,000 households do not have even home. So this is a kind of statistic. I think Jayatada would be quite happy to see this data, but again, there is a question of segregation as well. So now I'll just skip here. Now, what does it mean to you all, and what does it mean to me and government for this situation? And what is needed at the moment to put a process or mechanism in place that can actually lead us to realize SDGs? In my opinion, it is a strategy. It is a comprehensive plan to be put in place, which is we need to look at and find out an approach. Sorry. We need to find out an approach that gives us a new way of combating the challenges that we have been facing for ages, for decades. And what Jayatada was also trying to point out is that who would be the driver of that approach? Who would be the driver of that program? It has to be the local governance, it has to be the community. And this is where what has been missed in our program design, in our program implementations, budgeting over decades. And now this is the time to bring that into the plan and make the community and local government as a driver to run that mission of SDG. So what is next phase in the strategy that we should look at is the strengthen the whole service delivery mechanism. So which actually includes three main pillars. One is the consumer or the community, who needs to have a clear understanding about the government program. And very surprisingly, I'll tell you a story here, is that I was going through a survey report which was conducted in South Asia last year, and it says that only 0.3% of the people in South Asia around have heard about the term SDG. Only have heard about the term SDG. And almost nobody has a clear idea about what are those 17 goals, what are their role in achieving the goals, and what does it mean to them. So therefore, which indicates that it needs to strengthen the whole service delivery mechanisms, the way service being developed, the way services being prioritized, and the way policies being disseminated. And again, I'm just linking this with what Dr. Chaudhary was saying, is that monitoring. Can you hear me?
Yes. We hear you.
Yes. Now, one of the things, if you look at, I think this is a problem not in for South Asia, but for global program. And I'm not sure whether the researchers, mainly the mentor or research guide or research students, also look at that quite critically or not. But as a development professional, I would propose that you all should look at this very critically, and this is what should tell the story of your work to the whole world. And the only way you can improve your work, the only way you can maintain a process of continuous improvement of your work or whatever you are doing, is the monitoring. And monitoring should focus on identifying mostly 3-4 things. One is that on an ongoing basis, what is working, what is not working, why not working, and what needs to be done to improve the things happening better. This is what has been missing for a long, and I think this is what we need to look at very critically for anybody, for corporate, for academicians, for development professional, for government, so that we can report better, we can maintain transparency.
SDG পুরো কথা রাখি। What is needed to achieve SDG?
Sustainable development goal. Sustainable
SDG,
development
standard
goal.
development.
So now, so here actually our role comes in. So what is our role here? So we as a South Asian Institute of Sustainable Development committed to work for realizing sustainable development goal. Torunda, this is sustainable development goals. Huh? So our commitment is to realize that. And now the questions you have in mind perhaps is, what are the things we are planning to do and what would be our role in specific terms? So our role would be actually supporting the whole service delivery, the people or the stakeholder involved in service delivery mechanism or system is to capacitate them for strengthening the service delivery system, which means capacity building of community, capacity building of service provider, the local government, service authority, and also other stakeholders like corporates and sensitizing academic institutions as well. The second thing we are actually going to do, and we have already started, and this today's discussion is belongs to this fostering discussion or learning, is actually this is also a time that we need to cultivate and foster a continuous discussion with global and local level think tank, so that we keep talking about SDG, we keep promoting SDG within ourselves. And when I say here specifically the local level think tank, I mean the community. So this is what, so far, if you look at the decades and history of the world development, is that the community or the people from rural area have never been considered as a think tank, but they are a real think tank. So our idea is to actually also cultivate and foster this discussion with the rural community to understand what does SDG mean to them, what is their take from the SDG. The third thing we are planning to do is to disseminate this SDG from the policymakers to the service receiver, to the community, to the citizen, and also in between all other service providers. Ultimately, we are actually trying to demonstrate an approach that can inform the sector a different way of working, an innovative way of achieving sustainable development goals, which could be showcased at the national and international level for greater uptake. Now, what is our strategic themes to work for this SDG? So one of the things we are trying to put in place is that, so if you look at the SDGs, there are 5 pillars in SDGs. Those 5 pillars are people, prosperity, planet, peace, and one more. So here, one of the things is that SDG says we are actually trying to develop an approach, a pilot, a development model, which includes those who are marginalized and excluded for ages. So inclusion and sustainability, innovation, partnership, collective efforts are the pillars of our strategy. Now, just to give you the overall picture of the way we are going to operate in the sector, is one of the things we are going to do, and our milestone that at the end we are trying to see in order to assess our performance is that how far we have moved ahead in terms of dissemination of SDG from policymaker to citizen. How far the awareness we could enhance among the citizens about SDG. And again, when I say citizens, it's also strengthening the CBOs, community-based organizations means here we would like to capitalize some of the institutions that are exist in community is the youth club, women group, adolescents, and 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 at the end we are trying to put community in the driver's seat so that they drive the vehicle of SDGs. Government as South Asian Institute of Sustainable Development sits in the seat of coaching so that we can coach the community better for them to drive the vehicle of SDGs much more smooth, faster, and therefore maintain peace and so our target for short term and long terms, we are planning to develop 3 to 5 SDG blocks within next 5 years. And in case of the long term plan, we are trying to look at 10 to 15 districts in South Asia for modeling the approach. Now, I'm coming here for the researchers and also the research guides, the professors. Now, please see these as a propositions from a development expert or a development professional. So now, if I have to offer university for an opportunity to look at SDG as a scope for your research or PhD, what are the things I would ask you and request you to look at? So I would request I would request you to look at 3 main questions. 4 main questions. One is that, what do the SDG mean to citizen? Because we all are talking about SDGs. You would see World Bank, European Union, academic people, university lecturer, a development professional are talking of SDGs. How far the villagers are bothered about it? How far they are talking about the SDG in their daily life? If they are not, why they are not doing it? The question is, can we achieve SDG without people talking about SDG, people understanding about SDG, people understanding their role about the SDG? When I say people, means the rural people, the main target community. I think this is the one area that you should look at as your research scopes and opportunity. The second questions I'd like to throw is that, what is the awareness level and readiness level? So this is one more term I would like to propose here is that, what is the readiness level even at the policymaker, at the state government, central government, district government, and the local self-government to implement SDG? What is their understanding level about the indicators of the SDG, about the whole monitoring mechanism, the transparency the instruments, and so on? What is the readiness level as on today? The next question is that, what could be the model of a collaboration? When we say SDG cannot be achieved in isolation, it has to have a collective effort. It has to have a partnership model. What does it mean? And what is that model about? How the model should be? So please, researchers, do look into these questions to define your research proposal. One more thing I would like to propose here, and this is the last one. Now, if you look at in South Asia and globally, there are many different models of development, and those models actually deserve a very high level of value. I'm just proposing mentioning at the moment here 2 such model. One is the Tagore's model of experiment. Now, today we are talking about SDGs, Sustainable Development Goals. But if you look at In 1908, Rabindranath Tagore developed a 15-point development charter, which is nothing but a SDG. SDG is actually extended form of that charter. And there was a great experiment happened, what Tagore initiated and still today happening. Now, my question is, and the researchers should study, what is the difference between that 15-point development charter and experiment that Tagore initiated and the SDG that we are talking about today? Is there a similarity, or is that a different model? Can these two be married? Can these two be collaborated? Can these two be put together to define a new way of working? Similarly, we have a Gandhian model as well, like in Bangladesh and many other places, we have many other models. Thank you so much, colleagues, for listening me. I'm just going to inform you that we are planning one more global level webinar sometime end of this month. I'll come back to you all and request for your participation. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Satto.
Wow. Fantastic. Brilliant. Thank you. Just saying we need to go for question and answer. Yes, quite long time. It's 7:15 now in Melbourne. I would love to thank all members of the audience and presenter on behalf of SESGRI and SAISD. If you have got any sort of question, please feel free to ask. Our presenter are here for your question. They are ready to answer.